don't believe, you see, that Polanski believes in anything. I think he's a narcissist who was hooked on publicity and hooked on the idea of power. It's an ugly party and it's riven with anti-Semitism. So all of this, I think, is now blowing up in his face. I've met the man, I've debated the man, and I saw back then how shallow he was. I think he's dangerous. You've got all of these young, single, unvetted men wandering around our streets. But this is the result of Starmer and previous governments making this country so attractive. We give them everything they need: clothes, new phones, the ones they've ditched before they get here. We sort all that out, and they want more. I mean, how dare they?
Welcome to the award-winning Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, and this, more importantly, is Carole Malone.
Yes, award-winning. You guys scooped it, didn't you?
We scooped it.
Well, but everyone who put it together in the first place, I mean, it's fantastically well done.
Yeah.
Come from nowhere.
Out of nowhere, and now something like 25 million views in 9 months.
Yay!
Yeah, we're killing it. We're doing well.
In spite of you.
That was good. That was good.
I can be. Should have been on the stage.
Let's start with Zack Polanski. Your favourite person in politics?
Do you know what? The good thing now is that the Green Party is exploding in front of our eyes, as is Polanski. The mask has well and truly been ripped off. I mean, this guy, we know what, a lot has happened actually in 7 days, but the most recent thing to happen is that the Labour Party has exposed a dossier with 25 of his candidates who have expressed or posted anti-Semitic views.
Yeah.
And it's beyond shocking. The Green Party had told us there were 4 people in the party being investigated. We now know it's at least 25, and people inside the Labour Party are saying it's actually many, many more than that. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And it is astonishing, isn't it, that this guy, and this is Polanski's fault because, he's forever telling us that he's proudly Jewish, but he refuses to stamp out the anti-Semitism in his own party, which is out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ugly. These posts are supposed to be, we haven't seen them all, but it says, the quote was that they contain harrowing and dangerous anti-Semitic views. So here we go. So it's been about 7 days for Polanski. His popularity rating has now plummeted by 14%. Right. He's now way below. There was a point where he was kind of just underneath Reform. Yeah. Now the Reform's ahead, the Tories are ahead, the Dems are ahead. He is not. He's languishing, just on top of Labour, which is not good news for him. And he, it's all his own. It's his fault. He has brought the party to this. We know that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he said that he thought the fear of Jewish people in Britain was a perceived fear, meaning it wasn't real, that they didn't really have a reason to fear. So he had to backtrack on that. And then when these 2 Jewish guys were attacked in the street by this lunatic brandishing a knife, we saw 2 very brave policeman tackling this guy who would not let go of the knife. And yes, they were kicking him, and I would have kicked the you-know-what at him as well, because he was still holding the knife, and they were risking their lives to get close to him. And Polanski suggested that it was disproportionate force. When he got slated for that, he had to apologise. But then on Sunday, the weekend, when he did a round of videos, he doubled down again, and he said he was still worried about that the force was disproportionate. Let him try and attack a guy who has got form for violence, who was brandishing a knife and had just tried to kill 2 people. Let him try to tackle these people, see what he would be doing. So all of that's happening. And I think the party itself, we're now seeing that it's a far left Corbynite Marxist party with very, very ugly views. This is not the cuddly Green Party of old that cared about environmental issues. This is a party that its main platform is pro-Palestine. It's second, it's against the war in Iran, and the third thing it's always screaming about is rinsing the rich. That's all they've got, really. They have no economic policy. They want to legalise all drugs. They want totally open borders. They say every migrant is a citizen in waiting. thought they were citizens in waiting. And they should all be given a house and a living wage. So even if they don't want to work, they're going to be given a living wage. Even though they've stormed our country illegally, that's their thing. So all of this, I think, is now blowing up in his face. And I think a lot of those people who were attracted to the Greens because they still thought it was an environmentalist party will see now that it's not. It's an ugly party, and it's riven with anti-Semitism. And as I say, this is only the tip of the iceberg, and it's coming at a fantastic time. I'm not sure how much it will affect them winning councils in the polls. I'm not sure on Thursday. I think a lot of the people who are going to vote for them, they were baked in anyway. They are, aggressively pro-Palestinian, aggressively against the war in Iran. So they might still vote for him. But I think the people who were kind of, teetering, thinking, shouldn't we? Should we vote for them instead of Labour? Might think twice now. And I'm really hoping they do.
Yeah. Well, there's more from Polanski, because he's under pressure after making 2 false claims about his past roles. You
know what? I mean, this is... we've got to say about Polanski that he's never been familiar with the truth. We know that when he said he got scammed by the Sun when, as we know, he was a hypnotherapist. I put it in quotes and we'll explain why in a minute. He was a hypnotherapist, and he had said he could make women's breasts bigger by letting women think their breasts bigger. Now, he says that that he was scammed by the Sun on this, and he said he never really believed it, which was a lie, because a week later he went onto a BBC radio programme and said he absolutely believed it, and he believed it, and he was doing it, and it was all fine and lovely. So there was one lie. Now he's being caught out with 2 more lies. Pretending he's a person of the people, he said he had worked for the Red Cross. Well, the Red Cross have
As a spokesperson,
the Red Cross have come out and said he's never worked for us. It is an outright lie. And he's had to backpedal. He said, oh, well, I once hosted a charity event for them. There's another lie. Then he said he was a member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy. No, he wasn't. Never was, never will be. But he was obviously practicing as a hypnotherapist and making women's breasts bigger when he wasn't a proper... So there's another grifting job. He says. So I think people, all these little things are dropping, every other day. We're seeing him being caught out so often.
But look, with the Red Cross stuff, okay, he wasn't the spokesperson for them. He did host a couple of events. There's pictures.
Yes.
Is that big a deal?
Yes.
Why is that
because
big a deal?
What he was trying to do was big himself up to be a humanitarian. Like, look at me, I give my spare time to puppies and to the Red Cross and to looking after whatever. He's not. He didn't do any of that stuff. This guy's a grifter. He had a dozen jobs before he decided to become, quotes, politician. He was a bartender. He swept theatres out. He worked in restaurants. He pretended to be a fully qualified hypnotherapist. He's a grifter, and now he's being caught out. He's so... I don't believe, you see, that Polanski believes in anything. I think he's a narcissist who was hooked on publicity and hooked on the idea of power. And so he... in his excitement when he's on telly and when he's in front of an audience, he says things and they're not true. And before he could say all of that and no one would be checking him out. Now we're checking him out. And you can't have a politician that just lies and lies.
Well, hang on a minute.
I say that.
We've got loads of them.
I say that. We have a Prime Minister who does that. Stupid me.
But I could say that about Farage, Starmer certainly, Rachel Reeves, maybe not Ed Davey, he's just daft. Probably can't say about Kenny Baden.
Well, but Ed Davey probably does, but the bottom line is he doesn't get that much publicity apart from when he's hanging off a hot air balloon. So when he's not doing stupid stunts, when no one's looking at him in any depth.
But all of our MPs, a lot of our MPs or political leaders have lied and misled us over things.
I know. But Polanski is like... I don't know, there's just a naivety and a stupidity about him, I think. And I think he adopts his policies to issues that he thinks are going to garner votes. So if he sees a gap in the market, like for the pro-Palestinian people, like, for people against the war in Iran, he goes for it. It's a really tired old concept. Let's rinse the rich. Let's take the money off the wealthiest and give it to the poorest. I mean, it's like Robin Hood politics. It's stupid, because if the rich decide to flee, which they will, if the Greens get any power in this country, who's going to pay for the 11 million people claiming benefits? Who's going to pay for all the people who just don't want to work? Mm-hmm. The rich pay for that currently, and they pay for that. They have to. They pay their taxes. They pay enormous taxes. I've forgotten what the percentage of the tax take is, but they pay a lot of it. But he talks in cliches. It's all stuff that he thinks. I don't think he believes in anything. I think he's a bit like Starmer in his way. No one knows what Starmer actually believes in. But Polanski just says things that he thinks people want to hear, and of course
they all do, though, Carole.
No, but no. But he's in a different league to them. He's in the kindergarten league of He's going to get caught out. He has been caught out. Look at his party now. They're saying that we're not anti-Semitic, and yet 25 of them being caught out posting or liking anti-Semitic tweets. So you can't say that and expect to get away with it and not expect to be made to look foolish. And they do.
I think you're a sleeper agent. I think you actually secretly support the Green Party, and you think by slagging them off, people are going to be like, screw Carole,
yeah.
I'm going to vote Green. That's why you're wearing green earrings today.
You really think that? No, so not. No, I'm wearing green earrings to brighten up a dull shirt. No, but no. I've met the man, I've debated the man, and I saw back then how shallow he was. He was talking to me about legalising all drugs, and it was clear to me he'd done zero research on the subject. He was quoting from reports that are outdated and that don't apply anymore. And I think but I think the thing is, even in his stupidity and naivety, I think he's dangerous. He wants to teach kids in school how not to overdose. He wants primary school kids. He wants that to be on the curriculum. No. Yeah. Do we want a generation of kids out of their heads on drugs? No, we don't. We don't. But he seems to think that's okay. Do we want a nation that has? I found it very interesting today. After remember the Reform Party said this week, Zia Youssef said that. If they get to power, they're going to parachute thousands of illegal migrants into areas that voted Green, which is a brilliant idea, actually, because then the Greens get what they voted for. That's what they wanted. But now, you see, they had a page on their website which was called it was entitled World Without Borders. Since Reform's policy, they've removed that page.
Right, let's move on to these illegal migrants who are not sneaking into Britain. They're trying to sneak out of Britain, Carole.
Apparently they're not. Well, they are sneaking out, but apparently they're running like crazy to get out.
Yeah, like rats off a sinking ship.
Yeah, this is an investigation by the fabulous Sue Reid, who works on the Mail. Believe everything this woman says. She's brilliant. She's been an investigative journalist for decades and always gets it right. She's just saying now that all of these migrants coming in, they've come in and they've had a few months here. And they've been put into centres or hotels or whatever, and they're madly disappointed. They feel let down by Britain because they haven't got enough money for fags, and they haven't got enough money for beer, and they haven't got enough money for the pizza suppers, apparently. One of them interviewed an Egyptian guy, and there's no war there raging as far as I can remember. But is it a joke? All these people saying that they're fleeing war and persecution got here, now they're trying to get out. But this one Egyptian guy is saying that he feels cheated by England. Cheated?
Yeah.
And he said that the £39 a week he gets, on top of his free accommodation, free food and free everything else, is not enough to buy.
You're doing him short. It's 49 quid, not 39. 49 quid.
Well, there you go, the 49 quid. It's not enough because a packet of fags is 20 quid. And he says here, and I do like a smoke. Yeah. So now he was waiting to jump on the back of a lorry to get back to France.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, lovely. I'd be lining, if I was Nigel Farage, I'd be arranging to get lines and lines of lorries there. Shove them all on, send it back to France. Perfect. Let it be France's problem.
But what this tells me is that these guys don't want to go back to their home country, because if they applied for asylum in this country and got turned down, our government has been paying up to £10,000 a person to fly them back to their country of origin.
I'm sorry, but Egypt is not a place where there's war raging. It's not happening there. So they just thought that what these guys that Sue interviewed were saying was that they believed they were going to get a free house, they were going to get jobs, they were going to have loads of money, and so they've stumbled across the reality. They're not. This one guy said, the house that I live in is overcrowded. I mean, honestly, you know, the ingratitude, but this is the result of Starmer and, previous governments making this country so attractive. You know, we immediately put them into houses, we put them into hotels, we take care of them, we give them everything they need, clothes, new phones, the ones they've ditched before they get here. We sort all that out, and they want more. I mean, how dare they? You know, there are people in this country who can't get a house. They've been on the housing list for years. There are people who don't have spare money at the end of a week. And yet these people are coming over who have not done a single thing for this country, never worked, probably never would. And yet they're saying they feel cheated by coming to England. So don't come. Let's get big signs out. Do not come, because it's hell.
But then this actually works very well in the favour of reducing small boats coming here, because the government have tried advertising on TikTok and things to tell people the traffickers are lying to you, the chat's lying to you. It's not like this in Britain. But these people are going to go back to France and say, yeah, we came back here because England's freaking terrible, boys. Don't bother.
They are, but there's not enough of them going. I mean, Sue's done this report, but I don't think they're going in their thousands. I think they're going in their tens. And this is it. This all comes in the week that we heard that in the last 8 years, 200,000 have come, and this weekend alone, 800 came. Every one of those people has to be housed. How can we sustain that? We just literally can't. So the more who feel unhappy, the better. Go.
Well, from one of my home cities here, Birmingham, there's a Grade 2 listed hotel called the Rouston. It's massive.
Did you know this hotel?
I know this hotel, yeah. It's not far from the town centre, probably 10-minute walk to New Street Station.
Okay.
It's a massive place, proper old, almost like a Downton Abbey era looking building in the middle of the town. Very nice. It's only a 3-star hotel. I wouldn't want to stay there.
I thought it was 4-star.
The press reporting it as 4-star, but it's a 3-star.
It was.
It hasn't even got a pool.
They said it was 4-star, but they also said it was before the migrants were staying there. It was billed as one of the most beautiful wedding venues in the country.
It is. It is. But it was like £70 a night for a single room in there. It wasn't like crazy expensive.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's a nice building regardless.
Yeah. Well, now it's not. I bet.
Well, this is the issue. Is that people are saying there's only men staying there.
Yeah, 300.
300 males.
Yeah.
And they've turned one of the rooms into an arcade for them. And they've put in all these games, Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, pool table, air hockey, all these things. And locals are now saying, well, we haven't got this.
Yeah.
We've got to pay £1.50 a go to go into our local arcade, and these guys have got it for free.
You can see why people are angry. You can absolutely see why people are incandescent with rage. That these people come here having contributed nothing to this country, and they're getting stuff laid on for them that not just people on low incomes, that most people can't afford.
Yeah.
And they're getting all this for free. And they're still moaning that they're getting it for free. But, and to have 300 men bust into the middle of a town centre, so they're roaming around at night time. Men from different cultures, men who don't respect women, men who just, see women as chattels and to be taken at will. You've got all of these young, single, unvetted men wandering around our streets. We don't know where they're from. We don't know what they're capable of. And not only that, but then they're living in, it's not the lap of luxury. No, it's not. However, they're living, compared to what they've come from, it probably is. And this is what upsets people, Starmer said he's gonna stop every migrant staying in hotels. Is he? When is he going to do that? And where is he going to put them?
Yeah.
Because I can't see the Labour Party, as Reformer said they're going to do, building these, jerry-built centres and putting thousands in. I can't ever see the Labour Party doing that.
Yeah.
Reform will. I think they will do it, and they will make an example. And they will do it to send a message to people who are thinking of coming. Don't come, because this is what awaits you: a big old tin hut that you're going to have to stay in for maybe a year.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to leave it either. That's the other thing Reformer said. These men will not be able to wander around. So, one hopes that will be a disincentive. And that's the problem with Labour. There have been no disincentives. Remember Shabana Moo's talking not too very long ago about giving families who come here 30 grand to go home. Do you know what? If you come from some of those countries, 30 grand is 10 years' salary.
Yeah.
So, ostensibly they could just come, get the 30 grand and go back and go whoopee, you know? And that's an incentive. And I don't know how Mahmood or anyone in government thought it would be otherwise, but there was even complaints about that. But, you know, single people that wanted to pay 10 grand to go home, it's a fortune in these countries where they come from. It's a fortune. You know, why should we, me, you, everybody here, why should we be paying for that?
I'd love 10 grand in my pocket.
So would I.
Yeah.
So would I.
You know, I think people would be more sympathetic if instead of arcade games and things, they're putting books in there that teach them how to speak English.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but just basic stuff like that. So, like, okay, if you I don't know, if you're speaking Kurdish, here's the basic Kurdish into English books.
And not just say you should do this, make them do it, because if they're going to stay here and they're going to contribute to this country, they have to be able to speak the language. You know, in places like Denmark, you have a year to become fluent in Danish.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're gone. Yeah, and they're strict enough to do that. Here, we'd go, well, you've got a year, and then we go, well, okay, you've got 2 years, you've got 5 years, I won't bother. We would do that. You know, I know people who've been in this country for 20 years and who still don't speak English. Yeah. And that is outrageous because you can't become a contributor. You can't become a valuable member of society if you can't speak the language. Yeah. It really is that simple. But under this government, we will never be strong enough to chuck people out who don't speak English. You're right, it's a great idea, but they won't do it. They'd rather smoke and have a drink and go out on the town. Yeah,
you're right. Well, look, our final story, Angela Lovely Rayner.
Yeah.
The future leader of the Labour Party.
I hope not. And I don't think so. You know, the thing is, this is a story that's come from Steve Reid, who was the housing secretary, who had a drink with Rayner the other night, chit-chat. And he said, he let slip that she's given up vaping. Well, she hasn't actually. She's actually said she will do her utmost to give up vaping. And she told them that she'd done it because her kids call her the vape dragon.
Yes.
But, you know, we have all seen Rayner in public vaping with that famous picture on the dinghy, with that glass of rosé, with a vape. I mean, I look at that, you know, and you just think, you know, Vicky Pollard for PM. I mean, really, it's just beyond. And I was on a TV program today, and this woman rang and said, "This is all about demonising Rayner." No, it's not. It's all about respecting the office of PM. And this woman, I feel, is incapable of doing it. Do you know? Remember, it's not a week ago that there were stories about her being in the House of Commons, one of the House of Commons bars, and shouting at the top of her voice, "I'm a socialist." Trolleyed. Lots of people who were in that bar said she was trolleyed. Dan Hodges, a very well-known writer, said that he was there. He saw it. He saw her drunk. So drunk, she careered towards the door of the bar, smashed into it so hard, because she was drunk, bent double with the pain of it, and the door had to be repaired the next day. Is this really what we want as our Prime Minister?
Yes.
No, it is not. You know, this nonsense because she's from the north and she's pulled herself up, you know, from a council to say, that's all very well, but it doesn't mean that she should be Prime Minister of this country. And I think probably if she is giving up vaping because she thinks it'll be a better optic situation for her to be PM. Too little, too late, love. We've seen you. We've seen you drinking. We've seen you smoking. We've all seen her at party conference with a pint glass of beer, shouting at the top of her voice. Well, Tories are scum. They're racist. They're homophobic. No. We don't want that as Prime Minister.
Nigel Farage he's always out drinking pints.
When have you heard
smoking?
When have you heard Farage out of control in the way you've seen Rayner screaming and shouting?
I've never heard him to be out of control. But he likes to drink.
He likes to drink.
He likes to smoke.
But he's never visibly drunk. She has been swinging the beer, and as I say, the Commons last week, you know, lots of her allies have come around and said, "Oh, they're attacking her because she's a woman." No, it's because she's an MP who is vying for the premiership of this country and is falling out of a bar drunk. It can't be happening. Can you imagine if she does this when she's at a Davos conference?
She wouldn't do it at...
Would she not? Why not?
Because she'll be in work mode.
No. They work, you know, they have drinks and things. This is a woman who clearly doesn't have a big control mechanism. And it's interesting how the talk about her becoming PM has slowed a bit in the past few days. Have you not noticed that? There's now talks that it's probably going to be Burnham and she would come in as a ticket, but not really, whatever. You can't have someone in a position of power who is seen getting drunk, who was seen walking around in a cloud of strawberry smoke. I mean, you can't have it.
Well, we have it here. Our head of video, James Walker, straight talker, he's always vaping, always drunk, belligerent when he's out. Little man.
I look at particularly men who vape, actually, and this is, I love James. However, I'm just about to slate what he does. I find it, I make judgments on them because I can't help it, because I think, do you know how daft you look? Yeah, you're walking around and you're swirled in smoke, and so am I, swirled in their smoke. And it's vile smelling. It smells of kiwi fruit and strawberries and oranges and whatever. I don't want it. But much more importantly, if James is doing it because he thinks it's healthier, he's entirely wrong. There are, I think it's the Johns Hopkins University just came out recently and said that there have been an explosion of lung injuries and deaths thanks to vaping. They have said it is as addictive as heroin or crack. They're saying that it can cause, it's got thousands of chemicals. I mean, thousands of chemicals. And a lot of these vapes still have nicotine in them. And you can buy them, and apparently the extra large cartridges have much more nicotine in than the ordinary ones. What is the point of giving up smoking if you're going to do that?
You're right.
And a lot of people, apparently, who give up fags to go on to the vapes end up doing both. Well, there's your lungs wrecked before you're 50. But the saddest thing is, I think, that there's a whole generation of kids growing up vaping, believing it's a safer alternative than smoking.
Yeah.
And it really isn't.
Aye.
It really isn't. And you're never going to get anything safe, because the bottom line is the companies making these things want to make a profit. So they're going to put stuff in it that's going to make you want it. And people who vape tell me that not only do you crave for a smoke. I mean, it's as bad as nicotine addiction. You crave for the smoke, and then you get withdrawal symptoms when you don't have one.
Really?
Yeah.
So what are the withdrawal symptoms? Grumpiness, tiredness, being...
Yeah. Was that James then?
That was
Are we
James.
saying that's James?
How dare you?
Yeah, we've seen him grumpy, haven't we? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Could be. Yeah, so, because he can't have one in here, can he?
Yeah,
when
he
he's
can't.
recording with us, he can't do it.
He can't smoke in here. Yeah.
That's
Angry little man. Well, Carole.
Says everything.
Thank you, Carole.
Pleasure. Get rid of that cold. Do not come anywhere near me.
I'm going home. I'm going to go and get
You
straight
should
to
go
bed.
home. Should never have come in.
Just dedicate to this award-winning show.
Yeah, if I get a cold, you're in trouble.
Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you comment. We'd love to interact with you. And hit the hype button. Bye-bye.